Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Nurina Aisyah binti Suhadi. My metric number is 2312916. Okay, now I will explain about secular humanism. So, what is secular humanism? Secular humanism is a philosophy or belief system based on human reason, logic and ethics. Okay, other than that, secular humanism reject religious dogma, supernatural belief and superstition. Okay, other than that, secular humanism rooted in humanist ethics, science and philosophical naturalism. Okay, next, secular humanism focuses on solving human problems through compassion, critical thinking, human experience, and does not rely on faith, theology, and mysticism. Now, I will continue explaining about the history of secular humanism. Okay, at first, secular humanism wasn't a formal movement. It emerged as a reaction by Christian fundamentalists to social and legal changes that challenged Protestant dominance. In 1950s onwards, cultural changes like more open discussion about sex, homosexuality, divorce, and birth control. Hence, this new attitude made conservative Christians feel like their values were being attacked. In the case of Torcasto against Watkins in 1961, public officials cannot be forced to declare belief in God. Okay, so in this case, it got reaction from fundamentalists that they believed there was a conspiracy against Christianity. Okay, and they saw secular humanism as enemy behind cultural and moral decline. Next, in Tim LaHaye's book 1980, which the book name is Better for the Mind, it popularized fear of secular humanism and blamed it for crime, divorce, communism, and more. Lastly, the apex of this movement came in 1987 in the case of Smith against Mobile, where the judge ruled secular humanism was indeed a religion. So, that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Faizatul Balkis and my metric number is 2417588. Now, I will explain about the principles of the secular humanism. So first, the principle of secular humanism is the rejection of God as the cause of the universe. So this belief does not acknowledge and reject that God created the universe and the creature found in this world. Secular humanism are naturalists, as they believe that nature is all exists. That means there are no God, no spiritual dimension, and no afterlife. Next, secular humanism adopt ethical relativism, which is the belief that has no absolute moral code exists, and therefore man must adjust his ethical standards in each situation according to his own judgment. So this explains that humans must correct and evaluate their own ethics because human secularism has no rules in morality. Human secularism posits that human beings are capable of being ethical and moral without religion or a god, and hold that ethics is consecration to be judged by results. So they aim to establish moral principles conducive to the freedom and well-being of humans based on ethical reasoning that is independent of all alleged supernatural sources of morality. Third, the secular humanists' rejection of the supernatural or God is central to their avowal or enthronement of the individual autonomy and freedom. They believe that humans can use their own reason and judgment to determine the meaning of life and moral values without relying on religious teachings or external forces and focusing on the freedom of the individual. Lastly, secular humanism is tied to the notion that individuals might experience full range of civil liberties in all societies to enhance freedom and dignity of the same individual. So they explain that individuals should be given the right to make choices or express opinions without being pressured by authorities such as religious authorities. For the issue of democratic society, secular humanism holds that the principle of moral equality must be furthered through the elimination based upon race, religion, sex, or national origin.
Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Minha Fatima and my metric number is 2415550. So today I am talking about impact on secular humanism. First of all, Islam and challenges of secular humanism. Secular separates God, a religion from the life. Al-Attas says it removes God from our nature, politics and moral values. Nature is no longer seen as sacred, seen as changeable. Without religion, here politics is done without religion and the values are unchangeable. Islam disagrees with this because its value is fixed and timeless. For example, zina is forbidden 1400 years ago and will remain forbidden until the day of judgment. In contrast, the West has accepted things like fornication due to secular humanism. The second one is social and cultural aspect of secularism. Secularism affects our society through media and internet, which often spread ideas against religious values. It separates religion from daily life, making immoral acts like adultery and same-sex marriage seem normal. This weakens family and moral values. Some Muslim thinkers, like Taha Hussein, even said we should follow Western culture completely. This shows how secularism can lead Muslims away from Islam. The third one is impact on education. Secularism removes God from education, making students focus only on the worldly knowledge. This leads to a loss of moral and religious values. In Muslim countries, two systems emerged, one religion, one secular. This caused confusion and weak faith. Scholars later proposed combining both systems to balance modern knowledge with Islamic values. The fourth one is impact on political aspect. Here, secularism separates religion from state, removing Islamic values from politics. It promotes Western laws and weakens the role of Islam in governance. This shift led many Muslims to treat Islam as only a private faith, not complete way of a life.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So my name is Iman binti Badar Effendi. My metric number is 2417268. So today I will explain and elaborate about strength and shortcoming of human secularism. Secularism encourages independent thinking and making choices based on logic and ethics. Islam also supports thinking and reflection, but under the guidance of Allah. In Islamic view, Islam teaches the importance of reflection and using the mind. In Surah Ar-Rum, ayah number 8, it says that do they not think about themselves? Allah created the skies and the earth and everything in between for a reason and for a set of time. But in a complementary of view, Islam values reason, which is akal, but it must be guided by divine revelation to reach true understanding. So my second point is promotion of human rights and justice. Human secularism supports justice, fairness, and equal rights for all people. In many secular countries, people are free to speak, believe, and are treated equally under the law. These are seen as basic human rights. But in Islamic view, Islam also strongly emphasizes justice. Justice is a command from Allah. In Surah An-Nisa, ayat 58, Inna Allah ya'murukum an tu'addul amanati ila ahliha wa idha hakamtum bainan nas an tahkumu bil 'adl inna Allah ni'man ya'izukum inna Allah kana sami'an basira. Indeed, Allah commands you to return trust to their rightful owners, and when you judge between people, judge with fairness. But it has differences, and the key difference between secularism and Islamic. In secularism, justice can change based on society's view and new laws. But in Islam, which is our religion, justice is a constant and based on the Quran and Sunnah. Sharia is also seen as the most perfect system because it comes from Allah. So next, I will explain about shortcomings of secular humanism, which is my first point is rejection of divine authority. In human secularism, religion is separated from government, law, and public life. Law are based only on human thinking without religious guidance. But in Islamic view, Islam is a complete way of life, not just worship. Islam also teaches us how to live judge right and wrong, and govern. Religion and daily life must always be connected. Evidence from Quran and Surah Al-An'am ayat 162. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Qul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. That means, surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, Lord all of. There are evidence from hadith that Prophet Muhammad said, whoever adds something to this religion that is not part of it, it will be rejected. In Sahih Al-Bukhari, hadith number 2697. So the conclusion, Muslims should not separate religion from any part of life, because making system without Islamic teaching goes against Islam. So my second point for shortcoming is materialism and spiritual emptiness. Secular humanism often focuses too much on money, career, fame, and material success. It usually ignores spiritual purpose, connection with God, and preparation for the afterlife. In Islamic view, life is not just about wealth, fun, and luxury. This life is temporary and a task for the hereafter, which is akhirah. Conclusion of this secular humanism, I will divide into 4, which is first, final thought, second, Islamic view, third, positive contributions, and last but not least, negative effects. In final thought, Muslims can benefit from some aspects of secularism, but must stay connected to Islam teaching for a balanced and meaningful life. In Islamic view, human secularism supports justice and knowledge, good points, but it separates religion from that daily life. In Islam, religion must guide in parts of life, not just personal belief. So third is positive contribution, which is promotes freedom, equality, and rational thinking. And lastly, negative effects that remove spiritual and religious values from people's lives. So that's all from us. Thank you.
Humanism is the idea that human beings are special, that they are not mere animals, but secular humanism. In other words, we don't need God to exist to justify our specialness. That's the secular humanist idea. Here's the problem. In order to offer some kind of meaning to what you and I actually are, to offer some kind of moral dimension to life, if we are the pinnacle, if there's nothing higher than us, then we become the measure of all things. If that's the case, then everything is a matter of human opinion. Because if human beings are the determiner of all things, then all we are left with is human opinion, and it changes. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But if God exists, then He infuses our lives with actual meaning and value.
Yo guys, Assalamualaikum. So welcome back to our Chill Corner podcast. So today we are going to discuss about a big topic, secular humanism. But don't worry, that will not explode your brain, because today we are not alone, because I have a special and intelligent guest. So let me introduce you to our guest. So joining us today is first Associate Professor of Philosophy, Dr. Faizatul. Hi. So our second guest is a lecturer in ethics and social studies, Dr. Fatima. And last but not least, our special guest is a finalist student in philosophy and political science, Miss Aisha. Okay. So let's move to our first ever question, because we don't want to wasting our time. So my first question is, I will ask to Dr. Fatima. Dr. Fatima, how does secular humanism influence the way we shape public policies like education, healthcare, and law?
Oh, that's a good question. So for my answer for this question is, here secular humanism brings the idea that policies like education, healthcare, and law should be based on reason, science, and human values, not only particular religious belief. So some of the examples are, education teach science without pushing the religious belief, and hospitals follows medical evidence, and law protect the human rights equally, regardless their religion belief.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Fatima, for an insightful thought and opinion for me. So, without wasting time, I will ask the second question about religious belief to Miss Aisha. Miss Aisha, in a multicultural society like our Malaysia, can secular humanism coexist with religious beliefs? Can you give your opinion?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To answer that question, in a diverse society like Malaysia, secularism can definitely coexist with religious belief. As long as there is a mutual respect, because secular humanism is not about fighting religion, but it's more about making sure that religion, whether Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or Hindu, or anyone else, is treated fairly, and their respect and their rights are respected. And then if we all hold on the values like tolerance, freedom, and justice, there's really no issue for secularism and religion to move forward together. For example, in public law and education, we can focus on common principles that everyone agree on, without touching religious sensitivity. So the key here, we all need to have respect, understanding, and finding common ground. So I think that's all.
Thank you, Miss Aisha, for the answer, because I think that is very important since we live in Malaysia that majority of us is Muslim, right? So let's move to our last ever question that will be asked to Dr. Faizatul. So Doctor, some people say secularism can make people lose their religion. Is that true?
For the question, not necessarily, because human secularism more on handling public matters without involving religious. But there are still plenty of secularists who are still religious, because they believe that faith is a personal thing, not something to be imposed on everyone. But there are still more people who are atheists because they strongly embrace secularism, but it's just a personal choice.
Oh, so we have our own right to choose, right?
Yes.
I see. Thank you to all guests for today. It's sad because that's a wrap for our today's episode on human secularism. We have learned a lot from now. It shapes our values on how it's not about rejecting religion, but more about using reason and fairness to guide decision in society. Hope it gave you all some food of thought. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this chat. Bye bye.